Thank you for having me here today. I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about what I stand for. And what I stand for is real simple. It is the U.S. Constitution. I'm going to Congress because I want to make our Congress more transparent. I want to represent the people. I want the people to know what Congress isn't doing. I want to try to get the job done right. I want to try to have Congress use the U.S. Constitution as its guide to run this country. I want to restore the liberties that the federal government has been taking away from us. Our federal government has become too big, too strong, and too powerful. It is infringing on our individual rights. We need to start restoring state rights. How do we begin doing this? Well, for one, we can dismantle the U.S. Department of Education and return those monies to the states so they can be used more effectively and more efficiently and more creatively. Another thing we need to do is we need to rescind the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act is a direct infringement on our civil liberties and our individual rights and our freedoms. And it has no justification or support or authority granted to the federal government to impose that by the U.S. Constitution. How is the Constitution a solution to our education problems? It's simple. The U.S. Department of Education does not exist in the Constitution. Education needs to be restored to the state. The monies that the U.S. government uses for education needs to be redirected to the states so they can use them more efficiently at the local and municipality level. California is overtaxed by the federal government. We get disproportionately less of our tax revenues back from the federal government than other states do. While California gets 80 cents back for every dollar we pay in federal taxes, some states get as much as $2 back. Other states are even able to give their taxpayers a rebate. Californians are overtaxed by the federal government. We have a higher tax rate in our state, and it costs much more to live here. This is a perfect example of too much government. Too much government at the state level and too much government at the federal level. Too much big government is the recipe for disaster. Our federal government has become so bloated that it's going to tax this country into bankruptcy. The Constitution clearly states that rights not given to the federal government in the Constitution are states' rights. Therefore, I argue that if you honor the states' rights and you let states manage health care and education independently to meet and fulfill their own needs, we have a much more efficient system that gives a better return to the taxpayers and a greater rate of success. It encourages creativity, and we'll have 50 systems to choose from instead of one size fits all managed by the federal government. I'm running as a Ron Paul Republican because Ron Paul believes in the U.S. Constitution, and I do too, and I think that is the solution to our nation's woes. I don't think that the wars overseas in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Pakistan are helping this country become any safer. They're costing a lot of money, people are dying, our troops are dying, our troops are being injured, and we are not making our country any safer. In fact, you could argue that we're creating enemies against this country. Unfortunately, when America occupies another country, the people that support us usually lose the support of their own people. So the United States government and our allies have to become more forceful and take away individual liberties from the citizens of the countries we're trying to build into a democracy. Ultimately, they begin to dislike us and dislike their own leaders. As a child growing up in third world countries where the United States had a big presence, I learned slowly that U.S. involvement and entanglements in foreign governments usually ended poorly. Eventually, we ended up supporting a corrupt political system and alienated the citizens of those countries from ourselves and from the people we supported. Examples of this would be Cuba, Chile, Ecuador, Guyana, Liberia, just to name a few. We need to learn from our history. We need to not apologize for the things we have done in the past, but we need to learn This election will not be decided by a large campaign war chest. It will be won by the support from citizens like you. I will win in the runoff because independents and even some Democrats will vote for me. Why, you ask? Because they believe in the Constitution of the United States. My supporters will vote. My supporters are motivated to get out to vote. They realize that other candidates are not offering realistic solutions to our nation's problems. When I hear candidates say more money for education, more money for health care, I realize that these things are not going to solve our nation's woes. The solutions are found in the U.S. Constitution.